What if the person you are right now is a stranger to the person you were born to be? What if the life you are living is a pale, distorted echo of the one that waits for you, buried under years of compromise, fear, and quiet desperation? Take a moment. Be brutally honest with yourself. Look at the patterns, the cycles of procrastination that end in frantic, mediocre effort, the resolutions that crumble into dust by the second week of January, the conversations you have in your head, replaying mistakes, rehearsing arguments, tormenting yourself with words that were never even spoken. You feel it, don't you? That dull ache of potential unrealized. It's the ghost in the machine. It's the silent scream in the dead of night when you're staring at the ceiling, wondering, is this it? Is this all I am? You work hard, you try to do the right thing, you consume the advice, you watch the videos, you read the books, but your effort doesn't equal your results. There's a disconnect, a fundamental error in the code of your own being. You are running on corrupted software, trapped in a loop of self-sabotage. And the most terrifying part is that you have become comfortable in the prison of your own mind. You know the layout of your cell so well, you've started calling it home. That ends today. The comfort, the excuses, the familiar pain, we are going to burn it all to the ground. This isn't about adding another habit or a new productivity hack to your already cluttered life. This is about a radical demolition. It is a controlled burn of the weak, fearful, and hesitant self you've become. We are here to sift through the ashes of who you were, to find the indestructible core of who you were always meant to be, and to build a new self from that foundation. A self that is unrecognizable to your past. A self that operates on a completely different frequency of power, discipline, and inner peace. This is your guide to a radical rebirth. We will not be gentle. We will not coddle the parts of you that are keeping you small. We are going to explore the ancient, unyielding principles of Stoic philosophy not as historical trivia, but as weapons for the modern war being waged for your mind. You will learn to alchemize pain into power, fear into fuel, and chaos into order. By the end of this journey, the person listening to these words right now will be a distant memory, a former self you can look back on with a mix of pity and gratitude. Gratitude because their weakness was the catalyst for the unshakable strength you are about to build. So let's begin with the first truth, the first swing of the sledgehammer against the walls of your prison. The reason your effort never matches your results is because you are fighting the wrong war. You spend all your energy trying to control the world outside of you, the opinions of others, the outcome of events, the economy, the traffic, the past. You are a general deploying all his troops to fight the weather, while an enemy spy is inside your command tent, poisoning your water supply. The spy is your own perception. The poison is your reaction. The first and most powerful weapon you must master is understanding what you truly control. The ancient Stoics called it the dichotomy of control. It is brutally simple, yet its mastery is the work of a lifetime. There are things you can control and things you cannot. That's it. Your control is limited to one single domain, your own mind. Your thoughts, your judgments, your choices, your actions, your character. Everything else, everything outside that sacred circle, is external and ultimately beyond your command. The praise you get, the insults you receive, whether someone loves you back, whether you get the promotion, whether you get sick, all of it is outside your control. You have been wasting 100% of your spiritual and mental energy trying to manipulate the uncontrollable, leaving you exhausted, anxious, and powerless. You are terrified of what people will think, so you censor your true self. You are desperate for a specific outcome, so you are crushed by disappointment when it doesn't materialize. You are haunted by past mistakes, events you can never change. This is the definition of insanity: to anchor your peace of mind to things that are fundamentally not yours to command. The first win, the first taste of true freedom, comes the moment you consciously withdraw your energy from the external and redirect it inward. Let them gossip. You control your response. Let the project fail. You control the lessons you learn and the effort you put into the next one. Let the world be chaotic and unjust. You control your choice to act with virtue and integrity regardless. This is not passive. This is the ultimate source of power. A fortress is not powerful because it can control the storm raging outside. It is powerful because it is impenetrable to it. Your mind must become that fortress. Starting right now, with every wave of anxiety, with every surge of anger, with every pang of fear, you must ask yourself one question. Is this thing that is upsetting me within my control? If the answer is no, you must train yourself with relentless discipline to say, then it is nothing to me. This is the first step in burning the old self. You are starving it of its favorite food, worry over the uncontrollable. This is just the first key. We have an entire fortress to build. We have to excavate the foundations of your beliefs, tear down the crumbling walls of your habits, and forge a new character from the fire of discipline. We will delve into the art of turning obstacles into opportunities, the practice of using the thought of death to create a life of vibrant purpose, and the method for building an inner citadel so strong that nothing external can ever shake your tranquility. You think you know what discipline is. You associate it with cold showers and early mornings, but that's just the shadow of it. True discipline is not about punishing yourself. True discipline is the cultivation of self-respect. It is the definitive statement that you value your long-term transformation more than your short-term comfort. It is the ultimate act of self-love. The old self, the one we are here to destroy, is a creature of pure impulse. It craves comfort, dopamine, and the path of least resistance. It is a slave to its appetites. It will trade a lifetime of strength for 5 minutes of cheap pleasure. It will sacrifice a mountain of future achievement for a molehill of present ease. Every time you choose the snooze button over the sunrise, you are casting a vote for that weak self. Every time you scroll endlessly through a feed of meaningless information instead of reading a book that challenges you, you are feeding that weak self. Every time you say yes, when you mean no, to avoid a moment of uncomfortable confrontation, you are reinforcing the cage of that weak self. Discipline is not about the act itself. It is about the identity you are building with each choice. You are not just getting up early. You are becoming the kind of person who keeps their promises to themselves. You are not just eating healthy food. You are becoming the kind of person who respects their body as the vessel of their spirit. You are not just doing the hard work. You are becoming the kind of person who does not negotiate with mediocrity. The rebirth begins with a declaration of war on comfort. Your comfort zone is not a place of safety. It is a cage gilded with pleasantries. It is the fertile soil where regret and mediocrity grow. You must learn to intentionally, systematically, and relentlessly seek out discomfort, not for the sake of pain, but for the sake of expansion. The Stoics practiced voluntary hardship. They would intentionally sleep on a hard floor, eat simple food, or wear thin clothing in the cold. Why? To train their minds, to teach themselves that what they feared was not as terrible as their imagination painted it, to vaccinate themselves against the inevitable hardships of life. Your modern equivalent is right in front of you. It's the conversation you've been avoiding. It's the public speaking class you're terrified to join. It's the cold call you need to make. It's turning off your phone for 3 hours straight. It's sitting in silence with your own thoughts without distraction and facing the chaos within. Each time you voluntarily step into that fire, you burn away a piece of the old, fearful self. You are teaching your nervous system a new language. You are teaching it that stress is not a signal to retreat, but a signal to grow. You are forging resilience. You are proving to yourself on a cellular level that you are more than your impulses. Think about the profound shift in identity. The old you sees a challenge and thinks, that will be hard, I might fail, I should avoid it. The new you, the Stoic you in training, sees the same challenge and thinks, that will be hard, it will test me, it will force me to grow, I must do it. The event is the same, the perception is what changes. And in that change of perception lies the chasm between a life of quiet desperation and a life of formidable power. This is not a one-time decision. It is a moment-to-moment choice. In every single instant, you are either building the new self or reinforcing the old one. There is no neutral ground. The universe demands growth. If you are not actively forging your strength, you are passively cultivating your weakness. Let's deepen this. The war on comfort is the external battle. The internal battle, the one that truly defines you, is the war on your own thoughts. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, wrote in his private journal, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts, not the quality of your circumstances, your bank account, or your social status. The quality of your thoughts. Your mind, right now, is likely an untamed wilderness. It is a cacophony of fear, judgment, worry, and ego. It replays insults. It catastrophizes the future. It berates you for past failures. It is your own personal tormentor. You believe you are your thoughts. This is the greatest lie you have ever been told. You are not your thoughts. You are the one who observes your thoughts. You are the consciousness that can step back and watch the mental chatter without being swept away by it. This is the skill of mindfulness, but viewed through a Stoic lens of command. You are not just a peaceful observer. You are the emperor of your own mind. You have the power to grant or deny citizenship to the thoughts that arrive at your gates. For example, the thought arrives, "You're going to fail at this presentation. Everyone will think you're an idiot." The old self immediately fuses with this thought. It becomes truth. Anxiety floods the body. The heart races. The palms sweat. The prophecy begins to fulfill itself. The new self, the Stoic self, observes this thought from the throne of consciousness. It acknowledges its arrival. Ah, the thought of failure has arrived, a familiar visitor. Then it interrogates the thought with cold, hard logic. Is this thought useful? Does it help me prepare? Does it serve my purpose? Or is it a phantom, a product of fear designed to sabotage me? The Stoic self chooses to dismiss it. This thought is not productive. It is not worthy of my attention. I will focus instead on what I can control, my preparation, my breathing, and the delivery of my message to the best of my ability. This is not suppression. Suppression is trying to force the thought away, which only gives it more power. This is a conscious, rational decoupling. You are separating the external event, the presentation, from your internal judgment about it. I will fail and be seen as an idiot. You strip the event of the story you've attached to it, and you are left with just the objective reality. The reality is, you are a person who will stand in a room and speak words. That's it. Everything else, the fear, the shame, the imagined judgment, is a layer of self-inflicted poison. Practice this right now. What is a worry that is currently occupying your mind? A worry about money, a relationship, your future? Isolate the thought. Now strip away all the emotional language, all the catastrophic predictions. What is the bare, objective fact at the center of it? A number in a bank account, a conversation that needs to be had, a period of uncertainty. When you see it for what it is, a neutral external fact, you reclaim your power over it. It is no longer a monster in the dark. It is simply a situation to be dealt with using the tools you can control: your reason, your strategy, and your action. This is the beginning of inner peace. Not a fragile, delicate peace that depends on the world being perfect, but a rugged, unshakable peace that comes from knowing you are the master of your own inner world, regardless of the chaos outside. We have laid the first stones of the new foundation. We've withdrawn our energy from the uncontrollable and declared war on comfort. We've begun the process of becoming the master of our own mind. But there's a deeper, more profound principle we must now embrace. It is perhaps the most challenging and the most liberating of all Stoic ideas. It's called amor fati, the love of one's fate. This does not mean passive resignation. It is not saying, well, this is my terrible lot in life, I guess I'll just accept it. That is a victim's mindset. Amor fati is an active, fiery, joyful embrace of everything that happens to you. It is the deep understanding that every obstacle, every setback, every betrayal, every loss is not a detour from your path, but is the path itself. It is fuel. It is a gift. Think of the alchemist who turns lead into gold. The modern Stoic is a spiritual alchemist who turns suffering into wisdom, failure into strength, and chaos into character. The old self rages against reality. This shouldn't be happening, it's not fair, why me? This is a spiritual temper tantrum. It is as useless as yelling at the rain to stop. The new self, the one who practices amor fati, looks at the same event, a job loss, for example, and says, "This has happened. It is now a part of my story. How can I use this? What opportunity does this create? This loss of a job I didn't even love is the universe giving me the gift of a clean slate. This is the fire I needed to finally start my own business, or to go back to school, or to find work that truly aligns with my values. Thank you for this test. Thank you for this fuel." This is a radical reframe of reality. It is the ultimate power move. You are taking the very things that are meant to break you and you are choosing to be forged by them. You are no longer at the mercy of life's unpredictable cruelty. You are an active participant, a collaborator with fate. Whatever life throws at you, you greet it with the same response. Thank you. This is what I needed. Let's make this intensely practical. Consider the worst thing that has happened to you in the past year, a painful breakup, a professional failure, a health scare. Feel the sting of it. The old self wants to wallow in it, to define itself by it, to wear it as a badge of victimhood. Now apply the fire of amor fati. Ask yourself with genuine curiosity, what did this teach me? What strength did I discover in myself because of this? What illusions did it shatter? What new path did it force me onto that I would have been too afraid to take otherwise? Maybe the breakup taught you about your own codependency and forced you to learn how to be whole on your own. Maybe the failure taught you a crucial lesson that will be the cornerstone of your future success. Maybe the health scare was the violent wake-up call you needed to finally start taking care of your body. When you can genuinely, from the core of your being, look at the darkest moments of your life and see them not as curses but as harsh blessings, you become unbreakable. You are no longer afraid of what the future holds, because you know that whatever it is, good or bad, pleasure or pain, you will love it, you will embrace it, and you will use it to become stronger, wiser, and more human. This is the mindset of the emperor, the artist, the creator. They do not complain about the block of marble. They see the angel within it and begin to chip away everything that is not the angel. Your life, with all its messy, painful, unpredictable events, is your block of marble. Amor fati is the chisel. So let's pause and take stock. We've started our demolition by focusing only on what we can control. We've declared war on the seductive prison of comfort, choosing discipline as the ultimate act of self-respect. We've begun the process of dethroning our chaotic thoughts and reclaiming our inner kingdom. And now, we are learning to not just tolerate our fate, but to love it, to use every piece of it as raw material for our masterpiece. Can you feel the shift? The old self is beginning to starve. Its foundations are cracking. But there is another pillar of the old self that we must now dismantle. It is perhaps the most insidious of them all, your relationship with time. The old self lives everywhere but the present moment. It is either a prisoner of the past, chained to regret and nostalgia, or a hostage of the future, paralyzed by anxiety and unrealistic expectation. The past is a ghost town of what-ifs and if-onlys. You haunt its streets, replaying conversations, reliving injuries, trying to solve puzzles that are long since finished. It is a complete and utter waste of your life force. The past exists for one reason and one reason only, to be learned from. Once the lesson is extracted, you must have the discipline to let it go, to burn the script. You are not the person who made those mistakes. That person is gone. You are the person who learned from them. The future is just as dangerous. It is a fantasy land where you project all your fears and all your hopes. You create elaborate scenarios of failure, which cause you real, physical anxiety in the present moment over something that has not and may never happen. Or you create fantasies of a perfect future where all your problems are magically solved, which makes your present reality feel unbearable and robs you of the motivation to do the hard work required today. The Stoics had a powerful antidote to this poison of past and future. Memento mori. Remember you will die. This is not a morbid or depressing thought. It is the most electrifying, life-affirming realization you can ever have. The constant, gentle, and firm reminder of your own mortality is the ultimate tool for prioritizing what truly matters. It is the clarifying fire that burns away all the trivialities, all the petty grievances, all the fears about what other people think. When you truly internalize the fact that your time is finite, a profound shift occurs. You stop wasting it. You stop squandering the present moment, which is the only thing you truly have. The thought, "I might not wake up tomorrow," is not meant to scare you. It's meant to ask you, did you live today? Did you love with all your heart? Did you do your work with excellence? Did you speak your truth? Did you experience the simple miracle of being alive? Or were you lost in a mental fog of yesterday's regrets and tomorrow's worries? When you feel yourself procrastinating on something important, whisper to yourself, memento mori. Is scrolling through social media how you want to spend one of your precious, unrecoverable days on this earth? When you are hesitating to tell someone you love them, whisper, memento mori. This chance may not come again. When you are afraid of taking a calculated risk to pursue your dream, whisper, memento mori. What is more terrifying? The risk of failure or the certainty of regret on your deathbed, knowing you were too cowardly to even try? This practice injects urgency and meaning into every single moment. It forces you to live with intention. It is the ultimate filter for your decisions. Before you commit to anything, a project, a relationship, an argument, ask yourself, in the face of my own death, does this matter? You will be shocked at how many of the things that cause you stress and anxiety simply evaporate under the searing light of this question. The insult from a coworker, it doesn't matter. The need to have the last word in an argument, it doesn't matter. The fear of being judged by strangers, it absolutely does not matter. What matters is your character. What matters is the love you give. What matters is the contribution you make. What matters is whether you lived with courage, wisdom, and justice. Memento mori is not a tool for one-time reflection. It should become the rhythm of your life, the beat of your heart. Wake up and remember you will die, and so you must live this day fully. Go to sleep and remember you will die, and so you must be at peace with how you live the day. This practice will annihilate the old self that wastes time as if it were infinite. It will give birth to a new self that treats every moment as the sacred, irreplaceable gift that it is. When was the last time you truly sat with the reality of your own finite existence, not as a source of fear, but as a source of radical, clarifying power? This is the forge. The principles of Stoicism are the hammers and the anvils. Your life, your character, your mind, this is the red-hot metal. We are beating it into a new shape, a shape of strength, resilience, and purpose. We are not adding anything to you. We are chipping away everything that is not you. The fear is not you. The anxiety is not you. The procrastination is not you. These are barnacles that have attached themselves to the hull of your ship. We are scraping them off, one by one, so the true vessel can sail freely. Let's address the greatest source of these barnacles. the opinions of other people. The old self is a slave to external validation. Its sense of worth rises and falls with the tides of praise and criticism. You post a photo online and desperately refresh the page, your mood tethered to the number of likes. You stay silent in a meeting, swallowing a good idea because you are afraid someone might think it's stupid. You dress, speak, and even think in a way that is designed to please an audience that is, for the most part, not even paying attention to you. This is a form of self-imprisonment. You have handed the keys to your happiness to 1,000 different jailers, most of whom you don't even know. The Stoic path is the path to freeing yourself from this tyranny of opinion. Epictetus, a former slave who became one of the great Stoic philosophers, said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." This is a revolutionary idea in our culture of image and perception. He is telling you to actively welcome being misunderstood, to find freedom in not caring about the applause. The goal is to develop an internal scorecard. The old self lives by an external scorecard. What do they think of me? Am I successful in their eyes? Am I liked? The new self, the Stoic self, lives by an internal scorecard. Did I act with virtue today? Did I keep my promises to myself? Did I face my challenges with courage? Did I live in accordance with my own values? The only opinion that truly matters is your own, and it must be an opinion based on the unwavering standard of your character, not the fleeting whims of your feelings. How do you build this internal scorecard? You start by defining your values, not the values you think you should asterisk have, but the ones that resonate in the core of your being. Courage, honesty, discipline, compassion, growth, whatever they are, write them down. These are your new North Star. From this day forward, every decision you make is filtered through them. Before you act, you ask, does this align with my value of honesty? Does this choice reflect courage? When criticism comes, and it will, you now have a new framework for processing it. You perform a mental triage. First, you ask, is the person criticizing me someone whose character I respect and whose opinion I value? Most of the time, the answer will be no. The anonymous comment online, the gossip from a bitter colleague, these come from people whose own lives are not models of the virtue you aspire to. Their opinions are noise. You must train yourself to let them pass by like clouds in the sky. Second, if the criticism comes from a place of intelligence and good faith, you ask, is there truth in this? The Stoic is not arrogant. They are a student of life, always open to growth. Perhaps the criticism, though it stings, contains a valuable lesson. In this case, you must have the humility to extract the lesson without taking the emotional sting personally. You thank the person for the data, you use it to improve, and you move on. You separate the useful information from the emotional wrapping. This practice is incredibly liberating. You begin to move through the world with a new sense of lightness and solidity. You are no longer a leaf blown about by the winds of social approval. You are a mountain. The winds can howl, the storms can rage, but they cannot move you. Your sense of self is anchored in the bedrock of your own character and your own values. You start speaking your mind more freely, not with aggression, but with a calm authenticity. You start taking risks for things you believe in, because the fear of judgment has lost its fangs. You become the author of your own definition of success. This is a critical step in becoming unrecognizable. The old you was a reflection in the eyes of others. The new you is a source of its own light. This brings us to a crucial, practical element of the transformation, the architecture of your environment. You cannot build a new self in the same environment that nurtured the old one. Your environment is not just your physical space. It is the information you consume, the people you associate with, and the triggers that surround you. The old self is kept alive by a constant drip of low-quality fuel. The endless scroll of social media, the outrage porn of the news cycle, the vapid celebrity gossip, the complaining and negativity of the people around you. You must be ruthless in curating your environment. This is not about building an echo chamber. It is about creating a space that supports your growth, not one that sabotages it. Start with your digital world. Unfollow every account that makes you feel envious, inadequate, or angry. Unsubscribe from every email newsletter that clutters your mind with useless information or tries to sell you things you don't need. Mute the group chats that are nothing but a stream of gossip and negativity. Be a brutal, merciless curator of your attention. Your attention is your most valuable currency. Do not give it away for free to things that make you weaker. Replace that junk food with high-quality nutrition for your mind. Follow thinkers, writers, artists, and entrepreneurs who challenge you and inspire you. Listen to podcasts and audiobooks that teach you something valuable. Read books, real, physical books that have stood the test of time. A single chapter from Marcus Aurelius' Meditations will do more for your soul than 1,000 hours of scrolling. You are what you consume. If you consume garbage, your thoughts will be garbage. If you consume wisdom, your thoughts will begin to align with wisdom. Then look at your social environment. This is often the hardest part. The Stoic philosopher Seneca said, "Associate with those who will make a better man of you." You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Look at your circle. Do they lift you up or do they drag you down? Do they talk about ideas and growth, or do they talk about other people and complain about their circumstances? Do they hold you to a higher standard, or do they enable your weaknesses? You must make some hard choices. This doesn't necessarily mean cutting people off completely, but it does mean consciously adjusting the amount of time and energy you give to them. You must actively seek out people who are on the same path. Find a mentor. Join a group, online or in person, of people who are committed to self-mastery. Create a council of advisors in your own mind, composed of the great thinkers of history. When you face a challenge, ask yourself, what would Marcus Aurelius do in this situation? How would Seneca advise me? You are intentionally populating your mind with stronger, wiser influences. Finally, design your physical environment for discipline. If you want to stop eating junk food, get it out of your house. If you want to read more, put a book on your pillow. If you want to stop checking your phone first thing in the morning, charge it in another room. Make your desired habits the path of least resistance, and your undesired habits the path of most resistance. You are removing the need for moment-to-moment willpower, which is a finite resource. You are letting your environment do the heavy lifting. You are creating a fortress of good habits that protects you from the temptations of the old self. This is not about perfection. It is about intention. It is about consciously designing a life that pulls you toward your best self, rather than having to constantly push against a life that drags you down. It is a fundamental shift from being a passive victim of your environment to being the active architect of it. This is how you make the transformation stick. You create a world where it is easier to be the new you than it is to be the old you. We have covered a vast territory. We have talked about mastering your focus, waging war on comfort, loving your fate, using death as a motivator, building an internal scorecard, and architecting your environment. These are the tools, but a tool is useless without the will to use it. The final and most profound stage of this rebirth is the integration of these principles into a cohesive identity. It's about moving from doing Stoicism to being Stoic. This happens through a practice the ancients called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. This sounds grim, but it is one of the most powerful psychological techniques ever devised for building resilience and eliminating anxiety. Most anxiety comes from the fear of the unknown. You worry about losing your job, about a relationship ending, about getting sick. Your mind creates a vague, terrifying monster out of these possibilities. Premeditatio malorum is the practice of shining a bright, rational light on that monster until it shrinks down to its actual size. Here's how it works. Every morning, you take a few minutes to calmly and rationally contemplate the things that could go wrong in your day or in your life. You don't wallow in the fear. You visualize them happening, and then you plan your response. For instance, you might think, I could get fired today. The old self would panic. The Stoic self says, okay, let's imagine that happens. What would I do? First, I would take a deep breath and not react emotionally in the moment. I would thank my boss for the opportunity. I would go home and immediately update my resume. I would reach out to my network. I would analyze my finances and create a budget. I would see this as the opportunity I've been waiting for to pivot my career. By rehearsing this mentally, you do two things. First, you realize that what you fear is survivable. You have a plan. The monster is no longer a vague terror. It's a concrete problem with a set of solutions. Second, you are building a mental callus. You are toughening your mind so that if the event ever does happen, it will not be a shock that paralyzes you. You will have been there before in your mind, and you will be ready to execute your plan. You can apply this to anything. A difficult conversation, rehearse it. Imagine the worst possible reaction from the other person. How will you respond with calm, rational virtue? A health problem. Imagine the diagnosis. What would your next steps be? How would you face it with courage and grace? This is not pessimism. It is strategic foresight. It is the practice of a warrior preparing for battle. The warrior hopes for peace but prepares for war. The Stoic hopes for the best but prepares for the worst. By doing this, you strip the future of its power to terrorize you. You can then walk into your day with a calm confidence, knowing that you have already faced down your fears in the quiet of your own mind. You are prepared. You are ready. Whatever happens, you will not be broken. You will be able to handle it. What is one fear about the future that you allow to run rampant in your mind without ever sitting down and rationally dissecting it? What monster could you tame today simply by looking it in the eye and making a plan? This practice, repeated daily, is what integrates all the other principles. It is the glue that binds them together into a new, resilient identity. It forces you to use the dichotomy of control. What can I control in this bad situation? It builds your capacity for amor fati. How could I use this adversity as fuel? It reminds you of memento mori. Given that I will die, how should I face this challenge with character? It reinforces your internal scorecard. My worth is not in avoiding this outcome, but in how I handle it. Slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, you will begin to change. The person who used to be thrown into a panic by a critical email will now see it as data. The person who used to avoid conflict at all costs will now walk into difficult conversations with calm purpose. The person who used to be a slave to their moods will find a steady, quiet center within themselves that is untouched by the daily storms. People around you will start to notice. They won't be able to put their finger on it, but they will sense a different energy, a solidity, a quiet confidence that doesn't need to announce itself. They will see that you are no longer reactive. You don't get hooked by drama. You don't complain. You just handle what's in front of you with a calm, focused efficiency. This is what it means to become unrecognizable. It's not about changing your clothes or your hairstyle. It's about a fundamental restructuring of your inner world, which then inevitably radiates outward. The power you gain from this is not a loud, aggressive power. It is a deep, quiet, dangerous power. It is the power of the person who cannot be manipulated by praise or criticism. It is the power of the person who cannot be broken by misfortune. It is the power of the person who has complete ownership of their own soul. In a world of reactive, emotional, distracted people, the person who has mastered their inner world is a king. This journey is not easy. It is a lifelong commitment. There will be days when the old self rears its head. There will be moments when you fall back into old patterns. That is part of the process. The goal is not perfection. The goal is progress. When you fall, the Stoic response is not to berate yourself. That is the voice of the old self. The Stoic response is to get up, analyze why you fell without judgment, learn the lesson, and take the next step. You treat your own failures with the same rational analysis you would apply to any other external event. You are forging a new you. You are the blacksmith, the hammer, and the steel. The fire is the voluntary hardship you embrace. The water that cools and tempers the steel is your reason and your philosophy. Each day you hammer away at your weaknesses. Each day you temper your character in the waters of wisdom. You are not building a static statue. You are forging a living weapon, a weapon to be wielded in the service of your values, your purpose, and the good of others. The final piece of this transformation is to understand your place in the larger whole. The Stoics called this sympatheia, the recognition that we are all part of a single, interconnected cosmos. Your personal rebirth is not just for you. A stronger, wiser, more virtuous you is a gift to the world. A person who has mastered their own inner chaos no longer adds to the chaos of the world. A person who acts with courage and integrity inspires others to do the same. A person who can face hardship with grace and calm gives strength to everyone around them. Your journey inward has a profound outward effect. By putting your own house in order, you become a source of order for your family, your community, and your work. By lighting your own lamp, you become a beacon for others who are lost in the dark. This is the ultimate purpose of this radical rebirth. It is not to become an isolated, unfeeling statue on a mountain. It is to become a force for good in the world, operating from a place of unshakable inner strength and peace. So let us bring it all together. We started with the recognition that the old self is a prison built from our addiction to comfort, our fear of the uncontrollable, and our slavery to external opinion. We laid out the path of demolition, a path that begins with the fierce discipline of focusing only on what is within our power, our thoughts, our choices, our character. We declared a war on the soft life, learning to seek out voluntary hardship to forge the steel of our resilience. We learned to alchemize every obstacle, every pain, every setback into fuel through the fiery embrace of amor fati, loving our fate as the very path we are meant to walk. We stared into the clarifying light of our own mortality, using memento mori to burn away the trivialities and inject a sense of sacred urgency into every single moment. We began the difficult, liberating work of building an internal scorecard, freeing ourselves from the tyranny of other people's opinions and anchoring our self-worth in the bedrock of our own character. We became the ruthless architects of our own environment, designing a world that supports our highest self. And we learned to prepare for any storm by premeditating adversity, turning our fear of the unknown into a calm, strategic readiness. This is the path. This is the work. It is not a quick fix. It is the great work of a lifetime. It is the process of burning away the person you have become by accident to reveal the person you were always meant to be by design. The person who is calm in the face of chaos. The person who is courageous in the face of fear. The person who is virtuous in the face of temptation. The person who is not merely a product of their circumstances, but the creator of their own character. The ashes of your old self are smoldering at your feet. The fire of transformation has been lit. The tools are in your hands. The question is no longer what to do, but whether you will do it. Will you have the courage to let the old you burn? Will you have the discipline to sift through the ashes and begin the hard work of building anew? The world does not need another fearful, distracted, reactive person. It needs you in your fullest, most realized form. It needs your strength. It needs your clarity. It needs your peace. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single, defiant step away from who you were and toward who you will become. The fire is waiting. The question isn't whether your life will contain struggle and hardship. That is guaranteed. The question is what you will build from the ashes of those fires. What will you choose to become?